When putting fire lines into operation at a fire, we need to staff them appropriately. In our system, when we lay off from a hydrant, we will have the firefighter and officer to manage the deployment and the operation of the fire line. At this time, the officer by default becomes the backup. When you go in the front section or the driver is handling the hydrant, then you have two firefighters and the officer to do all the work on the line. In the image on this slide, we have lots of firefighters wanting to get to the fire, and there's a mess of hose in the yard behind them. Someone has to stay disciplined to flake out the hose and handle any kinks. It's the officer's responsibility to ensure this happens. If you have a nozzle firefighter and use the officer as backup, because the officer should be at the fire area supervising the nozzle firefighter, the company should have discipline to have that other firefighter be in the door position or the roving linebacker moving hose. This is the hardest job on the engine, but the most important for success. The fire isn't always right inside the front door, and when you add turns, furniture, rooms, stairs, other obstacles, and other things in that building, someone needs to manage moving around those obstacles and staging and moving hose for constant forward progress. As our procedures indicate, when the first due engine is having difficulty, it's a difficult stretch based on the building and they're having trouble advancing or moving their hose, or if they're using a 2.5-inch hose for whatever reason, and it's sometimes just the fact that they're going 3, 4, 5 floors in a multi-dwelling. The second engine's mandated to assist according to our procedures. You got to ensure that they're good, that they're moving hose, getting close to the fire. If the second engine is fully committed to the first engine, then the third engine is responsible for backup. So what is the fire area? In a private dwelling, the entire house should be considered the fire area. If you are certain the fire is on the second floor and it's not balloon framing where the fire could be in the basement, then obviously you can stretch dry to the stairs. But for the most part, we should be able to move a charged hose line from the entrance point to the fire on the first or second floor in a house with minimal effort. In a multifamily, this is generally the apartment of origin. With center stair, garden-style apartments, if the door is controlled, then your hose is flaked directly to the door. If not, in the open stairs, then you stretch to the floor below. If there's a long hallway, it's the apartment door if the door is controlled and not letting the fire into the hallway. If not, the door from the closest stair to the hallway is where you'll flake and charge your hose. So this brings the big question: when do you have to have water? In old school methods, we got right up on the fire and called for water. Now with buildings with more contents, a lot more plastics, and fuels that burn hotter, we have to charge when we encounter products of combustion. Those are when we're required to put on our face piece. Remember, smoke is fuel, and the fire is going to take the path of least resistance. In the images here, the front door, hallway, stairs, and entrance to the auditorium are all where we need water. The front door is usually the best route to take in most dwellings, unless they are laid out with a side entrance and stairs. The front door provides the most direct access to the stairs, eliminates much longer hose stretches, and generally protects the means of egress. You should always anticipate the need to have a longer stretch upon arrival. This could be a problem in an area you know about, like some CMHA housing projects have 300 or 400 foot stretches just to get to the building. Then you have to have hose to cover the area of the fire building. You also have buildings with big setback courtyards, large distances from the street, and also buildings that are tall without standpipes. So it requires a lot of vertical distance. Distance also could be a problem due to blocked access to the scene because of construction, vehicles blocking your way, or just a lot of people. It could also be other apparatus at larger fires. You could be blocked and need extra hose lines, and you may be required to do a longer hose stretch to get extra water to the fire. Does your engine company have a system for a long hose lay? Your 250-foot bed of 1.75" won't always work. Your long bed with a couple links of 2.5 added underneath the 1.75" won't always work. We'll be able to make it 200 feet across the grass and then up to the second or third floor apartment and still have hose to cover the apartment. We'll make it to the 4th or 5th floor, halfway down a hall that's 100 feet long, and still have 50 feet to cover the apartment. Those are all questions you should ask before you show up at the fire. Other than their standard pre-connects, some fire companies carry a modular system which enables the use of a 2.5 with a reducer or a Y and a bundle of 1 3/4 that's either 100 or 150 feet long to facilitate these long stretches that they may encounter. The width of all crosslays on our engines is the same. We load 250 feet in the CFD on crosslays, so 4 folds or 2 stacks equals 50 feet of hose in that system. You can use the same generalization on the rear bed, just remember it's longer, sometimes 10 or 14 feet, so you're going to have a little extra hose. When we deploy the line to the fire, we want enough hose to cover the fire area. We call this the point of service. In houses, 50 feet will cover this space on one floor most of the time. This is also true for most apartments. So we want to flake and charge 50 feet at the point of service, whether this is the front door at the front porch, the door from the stairwell to the apartment, or the door to the apartment from the long hallway. To deploy this system, the nozzle firefighter takes 50 feet. Again, that's 2 stacks or 4 folds. They take it on their arm or shoulder. They walk away about 5 or 10 feet to allow it to drop on their shoulder and not get tangled on their SCBA. Then they go back and grab lower on that bed to dump the rest of the hose from the bed. Without tons of obstacles in the way and many stairs to traverse, a single firefighter can easily deploy across. Here are just 2 video examples of putting this stretch in the operation. As you'll see in both examples, the nozzle firefighter puts some hose on his shoulder, again 50 feet, 4 folds, and then reaches back after he walks away, grabs lower on the bed, and deploys the remainder of the bed, and then starts heading towards the point of service. We're also fans of showing firefighters to hold the hose behind them with their free hand in case it gets caught on a tire, a bush, the fence, any other obstacle, and you don't want to jerk the 50 feet out of your hand. So here it is again, slowed down. The nozzle firefighter walks past his entrance a little bit, then he flakes up to the door. When he's flaking up to the door, he's going to drop the hose about 25 feet away from the entrance, reach down, grab the nozzle, and then the coupling, and either walk up to the front door or walk up the stairs or down the hall, flaking that out perfectly to make your push into the apartment and have 50 feet to cover the area. If you drop your bundle, you can walk the hose back in the middle and then make your loop in order to push into the apartment also. At the point of entry, stay low and out of the doorway. It's a good idea to call for water and then start donning your PPE. This allows you to be ready when the water comes and also allows for clear communication to the driver without your face piece. At the entrance, look at the smoke. How fast is it getting drawn in at the bottom? How fast and how angry is it coming out? That'll all tell you the intensity of the fire. Look under the smoke for a layout, any obstacles or people, because once you put water in the smoke, you lose all visibility. And then make sure you secure your helmet and nozzle when you're donning your PPE so they don't get kicked or taken from you. You'll want to bleed the line before making entry. This isn't just a quick burst. It should be a 5 or 10 second full flow to check the flow and pressure. Maybe there's a kink behind you. The new masterminds on engine panels take a second to catch up when you push the preset also. If you're using a fog nozzle, adjust it to straight or all the way to the right. You should know how a good nozzle feels and what the back pressure feels like. You do this through training. You also are checking at the front door. You test to ensure there's good pressure and flow because it's your lifeline. It's also important when you move deep in the building and now the hose is around some obstacles up or down the stairs and somewhere it develops a kink behind you. You should be able to recognize and identify that problem and flow and communicate that to your officer. When making entry into the fire area, there are some tasks that the nozzle firefighter needs to manage and the officer needs to supervise. When opening the nozzle, it should always be opened all the way out in front of you and up towards the ceiling. Once the fire is knocked down or during overhaul, it doesn't matter how much you open or close the nozzle, but when you initially attack the fire, you want to open it all the way so you can win. If you're in high heat smoke, extreme heat, or you see rollover over your head, you should also open the nozzle to cool the environment as you advance. Usually the officer determines when to open or close, but if you're moving hose and your nozzle firefighter is a few feet away from you, you should allow them to exercise judgment and cool the space. When advancing the line, we all need to be on the same side, stay low, try to stay to the same side of a hall or stairs, keep moving forward, and always attempt to recognize layouts and objects, such as a couch, which is likely in the living room, fridge, stove, in the kitchen, bed, door frames, and so forth. To locate the fire, use all of your senses. Sight and feel are the obvious ones. On the nozzle, if you have your flashlight on in the smoke, really all it does is light up the smoke, and you won't be able to see the fire that may be coming towards you or above your head. Before entering the building, assess the smoke conditions outside and look at the smoke for clues as to where the fire is. If there's a bystander or someone present that was in the building, ask them where the fire is. Sometimes as you're getting close to the fire, getting low under the smoke, if it's possible, will help you see as well. This may help you visualize obstacles or layouts and also allow you to see victims. If you're in a hallway of an apartment building and it's charged with smoke and heat, it's likely the place you need to go is the door that's open because they left the apartment door open. Once you knock down the fire, you should sweep the floor. You're doing this to really put out embers that may be still burning on the floor, but you're going to sweep debris and also be able to tell the difference in nozzle sound. Maybe there's a hole or other things in that room. Any door the hose goes through should be chalked open. You should carry wooden chocks, handmade chocks, or even commercial chocks to help open doors. You don't want to have your advance stopped, water reduced, or being able to get water because the door is on your hose when you try to charge the line. Be careful in many buildings with open stairs. The hose can get pinched between the stairs and the wall during layout, and when it's charged, not allow you to advance. Chalking doors takes a little time and is just another step to ensure your success. We want to avoid more than 2 lines through the same entrance or stairwell. It makes it hard to move lines, it makes it hard to figure out which line's which, it makes it difficult to navigate the stairs, and it'll also make it difficult to do a rapid egress from the building if a firefighter goes down or we need to withdraw. Practice and exercise discipline to ensure you don't have kinks as you're laying out your hose, and you don't have kinks and piles of hose as you're putting your line into service. This will just slow the ability to get water on the fire and could potentially lead to flashover or other dangerous conditions. Just as with any skill we use on the fire ground, success is dependent upon practice. Continual practice is needed to maintain proficiency. So get out, stretch some lines, operate some lines. It will help you ensure success on the fire ground and also lead to increased safety.